Am I the jerk for not getting items on a baby shower gift list? So my brother and his wife are having their first child together, although this will be my brother's second child. They announced they were having a baby shower this upcoming Saturday since most of us could make it. With the baby shower date set, we also got a list of items from his wife. The cheapest item is well over $100, and that seems unreasonable to me. She is also insisting that everybody only get items on the list. Examples include a standing bath and change table, a wall-mounted change table, several styles of baby carriers, a spacious stroller, a specific diaper bag, several humidifiers, and several diffusers. My brother has been telling us to talk to her about the baby items, so when I approached her about it and the costs, she said they didn't need help affording the cheaper things like baby clothing, diapers, wipes, and formula if she needed it. They needed help with the more expensive items on the list. After work, I spoke to my brother about it again, and he admitted he was frustrated. It was behavior he had never seen from her. When I asked him what he wanted, he repeated diapers and wipes several times. I discussed my financial situation with him and told him I simply couldn't afford her wish list of baby items. My siblings and I are stable but struggling on a month-to-month basis. My brother revealed that one of his purchases was a portable playpen with a soft mattress on the bottom, which also had a bassinet and change station insert that clipped onto the frame and sat inside the playpen itself. My sisters and I all chipped in together and got him the playpen he wanted, which wasn't cheap for us and not on the list. We also let him know we got him the playpen. He's very thankful, warned us that his wife might be more than a little ticked at you guys this Saturday, but did say he'd deal with it when we cross that bridge. My sisters and I contributed around $50 each, and I personally paid around $80. For us, it is far less than the expected $100 his wife wanted, and not even an item on the baby needs list. Are we wrong for not getting an item on her list? Am I wrong for going around her back and getting something my brother couldn't yet afford but wanted? Am I wrong for not contributing $100 to our still unborn niece? It's not like this will be the only $80 I ever spend on her, but does she need a $600 night light plus diffuser humidifier? Now judge me. You did the right thing. It's perfectly fine for 2 or more people to contribute to a gift, especially something practical like portable play yards that will get a lot of use. Your brother is just as much a parent as his wife, and if she's ticked off, it says a lot about her character and inability to accept a gift graciously. No one is obligated to buy anything off a registry, and it's less of a shower and more of a gift grab if she can't appreciate that. Am I the jerk for not visiting my partner in the night after they got a broken toenail? So basically, my boyfriend went to play football and broke his toenail in half. I presume it bled for a while and it was hurting, but then it stopped bleeding. I understand he must be in pain, but he also drove to have dinner in the office after this incident. Then he went to see the doctor with his flatmate. It was around 9 or 10 p.m., and the emergency doctor advised him to get surgery done, normal or plastic. After half an hour, the doctor dressed his wound, gave him an injection, and asked him to go home. My boyfriend asked me to visit him that night, knowing I don't like traveling in the city at night by myself, and I live 1 hour away from him. I only got back home from his flat this morning. I told him it doesn't make any sense for me to visit him only to come back home in the morning. I just feel like he exaggerates small stuff, and he needed me to make all this effort so that he could feel better. I had been working so much and only got off work at 9 p.m. The past week had been too hectic for me. He knows this and expects me to go back and forth because he got injured. His flatmate was there with him the entire time and was going to go in the morning with him to see the doctor. I sometimes feel like he behaves like a baby and needs too much attention. I have grown up around men who, when they get hurt, don't bother about it so much, or even in severe conditions go to the hospital by themselves, get better, and come back home without dropping a sweat. Am I being too insensitive? Why is this bothering me? I plan on marrying him someday, and I already feel like in a lot of ways he would be needy. Do men change after marriage and having responsibility on their shoulders? Honestly, I didn't even understand why he needed his roommate to go with him for something like this. He expects him to wake up early in the morning so both of them could go to the doctor together, and he asked me to join as well since I didn't go in the night. Any advice would be helpful. I would also post a few other things that bother me about my boyfriend in the comment section below. I really need some solid advice here. I love him, but I am not able to ignore certain things about him. Many of us are socialized to believe that men should be tough guys, but he's not a bad person for not fitting that mold. It could be a compatibility issue if you prefer more independence and self-reliance in a partner. If you don't like him asking for what he needs, then maybe it's better to find someone who aligns more with your expectations. Neither of you is an asshole if both are being kind and understanding about each other's needs. Am I the jerk for stepping up for my stepmother against my family? I am a 14-year-old female with separated parents due to my father's affair when I was 4. This is relevant because it might explain why my family is quick to criticize my father's relationships. My father has had 3 girlfriends, all of whom were very nice. The second girlfriend in particular called me her daughter and treated me as such. I loved her and was hurt to hear my mother, sisters, and aunt speak negatively about her. When I was 8, I didn't realize that their behavior was wrong, so I always spoke positively about her when they asked. As I got older, I understood that their behavior was harmful, but by then my father and his girlfriend had broken up. When my father remarried when I was 12, I was reluctant to meet his new wife because my mother and sisters had influenced me to believe she was a gold digger. When I met her, I was rude to her and her daughter, but she was always kind. Over time, I got to know her and saw the love she had for my father and her desire to start a family with him. I spent a lot of good times with her, her daughter, and my father. Upon returning home, she lives in South America, we live in North America. My mother asked about her. I said she was nice and complimented her red hair. My mother then asked if she was a bitch. I was taken aback and asked how she could say that without ever meeting her. I defended my stepmother, which caused my mother to snap at me, call me names, and make accusations about her pretending to be nice. I might be the asshole because I snapped back at my mother, calling her a bitter woman. I told her that just because my father cheated doesn't mean his current wife is like the woman he cheated with. My mother yelled that I don't understand and sent me to my room. At a family get-together, my mother, sisters, and aunt were talking about my stepmother. I asked who they were discussing, and my mother told me to stay out of grown-up conversations. I defended my stepmother while they kept insulting her, insisting that I didn't know anything. This happened a year ago. I have since visited my stepmother 4 times and have only spoken about her to defend her, never bringing her up with my family again. The problem is exactly what you said. Your mother is bitter. Her bitterness is not helping her have a good life. Quite the opposite. It's understandable considering your dad cheated on her, but it is not healthy for anyone involved. It's important to make up your own mind about things and not let her negativity affect your perspective. Am I the jerk for sharing a list of baby names that often get misspelled with my sibling? I'm a teacher and I have 2 children with my husband. When we were first expecting a baby, we talked about what we wanted for our child's name, and something important to both of us was a name that was unlikely to be misspelled. Using my experience as a teacher, I compiled a list of boy and girl names that tend to be misspelled often. I also included another list of names that, while easy to spell generally, have many different spellings that are considered correct and could be annoying. For example, Haley, 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 Hallie, and Haley. My brother and sister-in-law are expecting a baby together. He wanted to avoid names that have a high risk of being misspelled, so he asked me if I would make a copy of the list to share with him. Of course I said yes. However, my sister-in-law was not happy. She didn't like that I had any part of the decision. My brother told her it would be a good resource to have while they searched for names. She told him the list was way too long and it wasn't my place. They argued and eventually asked my sister-in-law's sister, who is a labor and delivery nurse, if she could confirm the names I wrote can be misspelled somewhat often. She confirmed the names and said nothing I had added was wrong. She clarified, like I had, that it didn't guarantee it would happen but often does. My sister-in-law still didn't like it, and she asked me if I had saved the list to interfere in other people's naming of their kids. I said no. I kept it because my husband and I didn't know if we would have more children together, but I wouldn't deny sharing it with someone else because it's not a list of names that I'm telling people to use. And I told her I'm not even saying not to use them. Just that in my experience as a teacher who speaks to kids, they get misspelled. My sister-in-law said it wasn't my place to share any list. Am I the asshole? Nothing you have done here makes me think you are the jerk. Your brother has every right to consult whomever he pleases for opinions on names, especially since he asked for your help. Your sister-in-law needs to get over herself. You were literally just providing information so he could make a more informed decision. It wasn't like you were imposing your choices, just doing research at your brother's request. Am I the jerk for correcting a classmate in front of our whole seminar? I, 19-year-old female, am American but did a year of university in the UK through my school's study abroad program. I was one of, I think, 3 Americans in the entire program at the UK university, so there were not many of us. I got back a few days ago and was telling my mother about my time there. I mentioned a confrontation I had in one of our weekly seminar groups. Our seminar groups are much smaller than regular lectures, with around 20 or fewer people, so this did not happen in front of the whole department. It was near the end of the session, so our conversation was not exactly on topic. Somehow, we started talking about how different words are pronounced between British people and Americans, such as football and soccer, bathroom and toilets, and other examples. The girl at the table next to me started getting a little heated. She said something about how Americans are idiots for pronouncing Nike as Nike instead of Nike. I laughed a little and explained that Nike is the Greek goddess of victory, and that the Greek pronunciation was more like Nike, so neither of us were really correct. She got even more upset and started telling me how the British taught Americans English and how we got it all wrong. I laughed again because I never thought that the 6 years of learning about the Revolutionary War from middle to high school would be useful. I explained that Americans spoke English because it was a British colony until 1776. Americans speaking English is simply a product of colonization, not education. I mentioned that if she goes to any place that had extended British rule, they would also speak English in a different dialect than the English. I assumed she was just embarrassed because I was not even yelling or being mean, but she started crying a little, and the subject was changed. The only reason I ask if I am the asshole is because my mother told me I did not need to call her out in front of everyone, and that we could have talked about it later to avoid embarrassing her. I did not really think it was embarrassing because it is just a fact to me. Anyway, am I the asshole? You are not the jerk. She was in an educational environment making claims she couldn't back up, and it's not wrong to politely disagree or correct someone in that setting. She clearly tried to make a fool of you in front of the whole class, and you defended yourself. Maybe next time she'll think twice before trying to alienate someone over a trivial issue. Am I the jerk for telling my parent that they have another child who's perfectly capable of helping them with the house? I come from a single-parent family, and we live solely off my mother's income. I am an 18-year-old female, and I have a younger sister who is 4 years younger than me and currently in junior high school. My mother has to work most of the time, and I am currently attending law school, so we barely have enough time to do the chores. When we do have time, we prefer to use that time to relax and distress. Whenever there are some chores undone in the house, my mother would always call for me rather than my sister, who is constantly sitting on the sofa, on her phone, yelling curse words and fawning over her idol. I have tried to tell my sister many times to stop cursing, but whenever I do, she grumbles and says she hates the world and everything in it. When I ask her for help with the chores, my mother would tell me that she trusts I can do the chores perfectly, so there is no reason why I should ask my sister to do them. Alternatively, my sister would throw a small fit and say she has homework, a project to do, or needs to study, which would eventually lead me to give up and just do the chores myself. Whenever I see my mother doing the chores, I immediately help her. I have to admit, sometimes I do not help because I genuinely feel too tired and too relaxed to move. Meanwhile, my sister barely bats an eye and continues on with her phone. Am I being childish for feeling like my mother is biased? I definitely feel immature. Sometimes when I subtly remind my mother that she has another child who is completely capable of handling the chores and that I need to focus on my studies, she tells me, "Why are you so stressed about school? You know I'm worried when you get so stressed out like that." She paid quite a lot for this law school, so of course, I would not want to waste my time. I do not know what to do anymore. You handled things appropriately. It sounds like there's an unfair distribution of chores in your household, and it's completely reasonable to expect your sister to contribute more, especially since you have your studies to focus on. Your mom and sister should understand the importance of everyone contributing to the upkeep of your home. Maybe try having a calm family discussion about dividing chores more evenly. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.